Caught you out, mate. Caught you out. How are you today?
Good, mate. How are you?
Tickety boo, mate. Tickety boo. Ready to talk all things cryptos. We've got Nick in the house live on Facebook, and we have Yanis live on YouTube representing the Crypto and FX Traders Club on both of these live platforms. If it's your first time joining us, hello, my name's Gavin, and this is Andy Demi. Just had Nicholas pop up as well. Good to have you with us, Nick. So let's get straight into the content because, as usual, there is so much to talk about. Give us your perspective last week as a review and where you see this week in general for the world of cryptos from the mindset of a professional trader.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I hope you guys are well. It's interesting. I think one of the sort of questions that people are asking me is, why is Bitcoin going up and everything else is not? The truth is that nobody really knows that. But what I can say is that there's a lot more institutional money going into Bitcoin, and obviously sometimes it's just kind of moving money around. And at the moment, Bitcoin is, the Bitcoin dominance is increasing. Last time we spoke about Bitcoin, I kind of highlighted that some key areas that we needed to break. And once broken, it kind of unleashes the opportunity for Bitcoin to go higher. And they were like the 50,000 was important. And then what we spoke about was, well, once that you're at 50,000 and you break it and it's on decent volume, which it was, then you're looking at 54 and then possible pullback and then go. It's not really pulled back much. It held at 54 a little bit, paused, almost acknowledging that area, and then it's just gone another leg higher now. So very, very bullish, very, very bullish. We've kind of broken through some key areas, and of course everyone's going to be now looking at can we get past the all-time high? I've always said, I don't know how it's going to do it, but I do believe that this year we will break the all-time high and we will get to close to 100K. And that's very, very much open now. We've got basically all of October, all of November, all of December for that to happen. There's a strong chance that will happen. Of course, things can change. That doesn't mean you should go all in. You should still risk, what you're comfortable to lose. That's important. And also, Bitcoin is so volatile. And crypto assets are generally volatile. So, what often happens is people just kind of feel like they've missed the boat, and then they just jump in, over leveraged. They buy at the top, and then you get a big dump, and then their leverage positions get stopped out, and then the market goes where they thought, but they make no money because they've basically just blown it. So, don't do that. Just be okay. Be okay with investing what you're willing to lose, what you're willing to invest, and just don't try and get rich quick. I guess is the message for people. Just relax.
Tranquilo.
Tranquilo. It's a nice song.
In Latin America. Yeah, exactly. And that's wise words. So look, guys, let us know what is something that you've seen in the news, either in the past couple of hours or the past couple of days. What's something good or what's something bad in the crypto world that you'd like to share with the group? And maybe we can have a little discussion around it, just so that you guys get to share. And then we can see what you guys are bullish on, what you're bearish on. It'll be interesting to see your sentiment for the market. And obviously, if you're watching this on the replay, hello, shame on you for not joining us live, but we love you anyway. You can just play along.
Don't let them watch it.
He does a little bit. He loves you a little bit.
Don't let them watch it. That's it. If you're not here live.
I mean, that's a little bit mean, Grinch, but we shall continue as we mean to go on. So when you were saying that about, we've still got half of October, we've still got all of November, we've still got all of December. Like, I think there could well be, in one of my mind's eyes, I'm sat there and I'm like, at the end of the year, I'm looking back to this time when we were like, oh, what was happening? And and we've had a massive spike in so many different coins, and we're sat there and we're going, wow. Can you believe it? Back in mid-October when we were like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to, and this time last year, I had no idea. I had no Scooby-Doo about cryptos. Like, I didn't know anything, and I'll put my hands up to that. Like, I'd only really just come back into trading and started getting your lowdown on how you look at things, and just how this last year has changed. 3 more months of this from where we are now to the end of the year, just it potentially blows my mind where we could be sitting, right?
Yeah, I mean, 2.5 months in crypto is like 2.5 years in a normal market. So it really is like every day. I mean, just a day, a weekend is like a month sometimes, like the kind of volatility you get. You know, I remember those waking up and thinking, holy moly, what on earth is going on? You know, like when Bitcoin is crashing down over the weekend, not this weekend, but just you know, a few weekends ago, and you're like, my God, these moves are just crazy, like crazy moves, and you're getting like 30% down over a weekend. It's just insane. But you know, as I've kind of said a few times, like to people, in order to make money in this space, in something new, it's almost like that's the price you have to be willing to pay. You have to be willing to sit through that drawdown. You know, and I've seen people like, oh man, but my account is halved, or it's a third of what it was, and I should have sold it, and I'm stupid. And well, yeah, but where's your crystal ball? You don't have a crystal ball, so you have to think of it as a long-term game, right? It's a long-term game.
Andy, we're not professionals for like over 18 years like you are. So for us, I can totally empathize with that boat and that train and that ride of, I was up 5x at one point and now it's come down because I'm waiting to, and then it's just like, yeah, you're in it for the long term. I get what you're saying, but for us guys that have been in and around this for like less than a year or whatever, it's definitely triggering, shall we say?
No, and it is, and I understand that, but I guess like the thing that we've got to remember is that the human brain is never satisfied unless it's perfect, right? So it's like, oh man, I bought at the bottom, I got out at the top. Like it's like if you gave back £100, you'll be like, oh, I should have taken it when it was, you know. Yeah. And that's how we are, right? That's how we are basically, I guess, designed. So it becomes, it's almost like then you're never satisfied because you're never going to be able to catch it perfectly, right? And even myself, like there's times I generally make the right moves, right? It's like chess. You move the right pieces, and you're generally optimizing your portfolio. You're making the most you can. But I can't get it perfect. Like sometimes, like, and this is a topic in itself that needs maybe another session. But like, I think that, you know, what do you do with your portfolio? You know, one of the things that, just rewinding a little bit, one of the things that I always recommend is like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Just take small uniformed bets in various projects that have promise and you feel like are good projects, right? We always kind of say that. Don't kind of over leverage or over push onto one crypto. But what happens when one of those just completely flies up and suddenly you've got 10 or 20% in one crypto? And there's a dilemma, right? Because you're like, well, it's like Solana, right? Or Luna, right? So let's imagine you bought Luna at 13 cents and it's hit 130 and you're like, wow, I've 10x'd. Great. I put $1,000 in, I've got 10 grand. What's the sensible thing to do? Maybe I should cash some of it, 60% of it, 70% of it, which is not a bad idea. But then you've missed out on 1.3, 1.4 million. So it's a real tricky one. It's a real tricky one. Like on this run right now, I've got to tell you something. I'm holding, and I've shared it with one or two people. I'm holding a cryptocurrency that Shiba Inu. No, definitely not. that I literally invested in. I'm not investing in Shiba Inu. I don't care. Do you know what I was? Because I was looking at my, I mentioned CoinStats to people. It's a great app. It's like $3-4 a month, and you can see all
That's
of
the
your
portfolio manager, right?
Yeah, and you can basically connect all your wallets. You can connect all your exchanges. Unless you've got your crypto staked, it will pick it up. If it's staked, it won't. So you have to do that manually. But it pretty much picks everything up. I was kind of going through my portfolio because you can see the market cap, like, of all of your holdings. You're like, oh my god, is that seriously only 100 million or 50 million or 30 million? Like, and these projects have got like so much potential already. They've developed. And I'm looking at Shiba Inu because I think Binance gave me like a few thousand, right? Because they drop, and it's sitting there, and it's like in the billions. It's like I haven't got it open now, but it's like 16 billion.
Is it really?
Well, unless it's not correct. I mean, someone might be able to clarify who's maybe holding it, but it was definitely in the billions. And I'm looking at some of these amazing projects that I'm holding with these. Like, and I'm thinking, how can that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it's not even, if that is correct, which I think it is, because I think I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. But somebody might be able to clarify. We can easily look it up. But yeah, it's just. But yeah, I kind of invested in a few projects that were in their very, very early days. I thought, oh, there could be potential, and one of them was from the previous run, like back in 2017, 18, or whatever. And I've just had it there, just not touched it. And it was worth a few $100s, right? A few $100s. And just all of a sudden, it's woken up. And it's now worth, in a very short period of time, it's now about $8,000 in my portfolio. And which is crazy. Like, this is just nothing. Like a few $100. Like, it was like, oh, this might do something one day. I'll just keep it there. I don't even remember buying it, to be honest. But that's the power of crypto, and it's the power of not fiddling. Just, if you leave, I kind of said this sometimes to my clients, like when I work one-to-one, but just, if you imagine, because like when they're, oh my God, but my portfolio is a little bit down and this and that. I said, imagine this. If I put you to sleep for 5 years, what do you think that portfolio is going to be worth? In 5 years, when you wake up, it's probably going to be worth maybe even 1,000x what it is today. Maybe, definitely, let's talk about 100x what it is today. And that is life-changing.
I'll take it. Deal.
I'll put a guarantee on for you. If you have my portfolio, it will be 100x in 5 years. I don't know all of your portfolio, Gavin, but if you share it with me, I'll tell you the potential.
100% Shiba Inu, mate.
Well, forget it, mate. Forget it.
No,
well, to be fair, this crazy world, it will probably do 100x.
But it makes sense, though, because last week we were talking about the massive investment and massive infrastructure. A lot of these guys that are getting off the ground, that have got valid products, that are signing contracts with real companies and providing real solutions, cash flow, like with any business, any growing business. Yeah, Sheep, as we now affectionately call them, they've got so much money coming in. It makes sense that their market cap is that high. Thank you to everybody that has messaged in. Nick was first on it, 11.7 billion market cap.
Yeah,
for Sheep.
It is, yeah.
Excuse
and
me.
yeah, it was, yeah, it's crazy. And so honestly, if you see some of the projects I'm invested in that I really believe in are fractions of that. Why would I put my money in that? That's huge.
It's very interesting. We've got there's a bit of an interesting conversation going on. I can see. Shout out to Hardware Wallets who's tuning in live. I have not seen that name before, so maybe you've been a stealth viewer. Now you're putting in a comment. We love that. Anybody else that is new to the show, please feel free to comment and contribute. We love seeing new people. Why so many Greeks on the chat is a bit of a side questing comment. Hence the comments from the Greek crew here. We don't discriminate any race, color, creed. As long as you love cryptos and you've got something to contribute, then that's Planet Crypto. We're one love for Planet Crypto. So I asked for your, this is such a big comment. It's cut off our faces, which most people will probably like. So I'm going to read this out there because it's quite interesting. So Zach has taken the time to read this out or write it out. So I'm going to read it out. I found this rather strange. I started looking into SHIB hype, and there were many things I found actually positive. Okay, agreed so far. One is the issue of token burning. I'd noticed the developer team has placed a burn address on the official accounts on Twitter. The second thing I noticed is how they are moving into the DeFi space. Andy, amongst others, loves DeFi. That was also interesting. Another coin is XRP. It seems that the case is reminding me of the Tesla lawsuit the SEC had against it years ago. Very, very interesting point, noticing how XRP and other coins of it. I don't understand the last bit, but that correlation between Tesla and XRP, that's an interesting find. And obviously, Zach being ex-military, obviously military intelligence by that report, there's a few interesting little nuggets there.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't. He probably knows more about Shiba than I do. But the end. There's a lot of projects that don't start necessarily. They just become popular, and then like Dogecoin, and then all of a sudden there is a use case, like because of the demand. So like when there's a demand for something, like, oh my God, everyone's interested, well let's make something of it. It kind of feels a bit like that. And I've seen that, I read online and I've seen other dog coins now saying, oh, this is going to be the next big one. I'm like, I don't know what it is with dog coins, but but look, I mean, something can evolve as well. Project can evolve and it can have a use case, of course. But yeah, and I guess people are free to invest in whatever they feel is the future. But yeah, it's just not something that I would invest in myself, that I believe in. And with that kind of market cap, if I'm thinking I've got $1,000 to invest, am I going to put it into Shiba Inu with a market cap of 11.7 billion, or some of the projects that I'm invested in that I've got between 20 and 100 million market cap that I think will change the world? I mean, I don't see, there's not even a comparison. Yes, the only thing that Shiba has is demand that maybe these projects don't have yet because they're not known, and they're not in the public eye, let's say.
Yeah, but that is half the battle, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. No, I agree.
And yeah, it's interesting how, because if you think about what you always say, how emotionally based or emotionally biased people are, like retail people and part-time people. Like I had someone about 10 days ago, they were like, I know you were talking about cryptos ages ago. I'm finally in cryptos. And I was like, okay, which project are you in? And they were like, oh, I'm in this. And I was like, what do you like about the project? Like, what made you spend your money? No, I just didn't want to miss out. I've been hearing loads of people talk about it, so I just put some money into it. Oh, interesting. And that coin is, Nick's got his finger on the pulse, or maybe it's just here in Australia. Some people predicting Cardano is crazy undervalued and will pump soon. So we've got a little bonus for you. We're actually going to do 2 breakdowns today. So we discussed this just before we came on air, and we picked Cardano for this point because there's a lot of swell. And this is my classic case, right? These guys are genius at marketing and creating a demand because it's not even a product. It's not even a usable product yet. Yet they've still got it to a really good level. And where people are saying in the news that they're predicting it's gonna pump massively. So the question is, can we jump into the charts now? Obviously, we're going to do our Bitcoin price prediction, but can we do one on Cardano and see if there's something in the charts that can highlight where this could be at by the end of the year? Can it really get to $5 to $10 is going to be the key question. So, Mr. Andy Demi, let's get you on the charts and let's see what we can find out for Cardano.
Well, it's a good one because I'll be honest, it's one that's not been heavily on my radar recently. So I'll kind of be looking at it with fresh eyes, which is quite good.
But to be fair, you're a long-term holder from way back in the day. But you just mean just with regards to trading, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But also like in terms of although I'm a long-term holder, I do move my allocations around depending on where I see value. So, you know, Cardano, I'm just going to bring it up the charts, is one that I that kind of thought would take a break, and I, you know, took some positions off it. So I'm not fully positioned long. There's definitely more room for me to add to my holdings. So that's kind of what I mean. The ones that I'm really active looking at, I will spend a lot of time on, but it kind of went up very fast, and I felt like it needed a break. And yeah, so far it's been a good decision to kind of take position off and look to get back in again. So yeah, let's do it. Yeah, everybody ready? Let's break down Cardano. I will see what we got here. So I am gonna just clean this up a little bit. I want to get some. I'll keep a couple of things on here, but I don't want to have too much. And I may even just get rid of that. And we'll just go have a look at the daily time frame right now. In fact, I'm actually going to bring up the weekly as well, because I think it's worth looking at the weekly. So here we are. This is the weekly time frame. And you can kind of see what's been happening. You know, we've essentially been, you know, we've generally been going up, but the market has taken a break. And, you know, what it likes to do in general, when you're pulling back and the trend is about to continue, what you generally get is you get the market to kind of hold here, right? So old resistance becoming future support. In this situation here, that hasn't actually happened. It held here, and then it's closed below, and it's consolidated, and it kind of looks like it could push lower on according to the weekly time frame. And if we just look at where it could go to according to the weekly time frame, you've kind of got that box there, which is you know, say 170. Well, to be fair, it did actually touch that there. So that's kind of, for me, that's a touch. So like, it's possible that the market could go up without going any lower now. But it generally likes to hold on old resistance that becomes support. Now, let's put in a trend line here as well on this weekly time frame, and then I'm going to move over to the daily just so we can get a bit of a feel. So look, in an ideal situation, would it be nice if it came down here? Yes. I mean, let's also take the fib and see where that 618 comes in, which is always popular. I'm trying to see the spikes here. So we've got a 38.2 there. What's that?
Looks like it's in that box.
Yeah, it does look like it. I think that's the 618. Yeah. Yeah, because the 38 must be there. The 50 is there. So the 618 is basically there, which comes in about 180. And if we, so this is the spike. I mean, if you, just going to see there. Yeah, so that's correct. So that's correct. So this was a spike there as well. It's hard to see actually. So that's interesting. So that comes in about there around that sort of 180, 182 area. Now, if I just kind of go back to a daily chart here, I'm just going to have a little look at a couple of things here. So I do like that we have, so look, you've got the 200 coming in there as well, which is interesting. But I want to just check something here, guys. I want to see where the predicted fib is going down. So how this works is we have an A, we have a B, and then we want to look at how deep the market went back. So it kind of went back towards the sort of yellowy, sort of yellow-orange area, which is there. And so therefore, we would expect the cycle to complete around where the yellow and orange is, which, if I can just see, it is pretty much somewhere here. So if we just get a little box out. So according to the fibs on this time frame, the down fibs, you'd be kind of looking for this cycle to complete between 150 and 170. And then you've got that 618 around 180. I think you just increase that little box. And I think if you want to start buying Cardano, I would suggest that this is the kind of zone that I'd be looking for as a buy zone. So anything between 180 and 150 looks to me like the ideal buy zone.
You know when you're serious because you put a reminder in for yourself.
Absolutely. And I quite like this. I mean, we've got that trend line there. And if I just zoom out a little bit, I'm going to correct it slightly. That was like the weekly time frame. Although that's a nice touch, that trend line in. If that kind of went down in a straight line, remember this is a daily chart, it would bring you to about 160 right now. So should we go and have a little look at the 4 hours as well, just to see if there's anything else interesting there. So this is our 4 hour time frame. What have we got here? We've got like a bit of a triangle, don't we? So we could, one thing we can do is, I mean, I don't particularly love triangles because they're quite subjective. I would ordinarily, I can do it actually. Ordinarily, I'd try and find a bit more of a market angle, which is actually pretty similar, isn't it? If you kind of take that, it's not far off that. So that's kind of confirming that right now it looks a little bit lower. We could, I'm just going to get rid of those. We could measure. So this will be like a different type of confirmation for the potential down target. You could measure the triangle distance and project it from a breakout, and that takes you down to 166. So again, that's all within that kind of ideal entry area. And you could probably find some confluence by connecting these points here. So if you see support, support, and support, that really does look like a really nice zone. So for me, that kind of really just adds to another layer of confirmation to what I've just done here, which is buy between 180 and 150. I think makes a lot of sense. 2 time frame confirmation, pattern confirmation, Fibonacci confirmation, trend line confirmation. That looks like the ideal zone where I would be interested in adding to my position. So that's kind of my thoughts on Cardano as a buy zone. And I know you were kind of keen for me to talk about potential targets, which, a real simple way of doing it, even just a really simple thing to do, is to take this Fibonacci and, assuming it kind of holds within this sort of 618 area, and then just use the projection, that will take us up to between 433 and 514. So if you get a bit of a parabolic move, you'd want to probably expect it to go to this 200, which is about $5.10. And if you get a bit more of a sort of smooth move up, then 433 would be my kind of target.
So with that being said, if time frame wise, obviously you're not psychic, you don't have a crystal ball, but if Bitcoin was to hit that 100K mark by the end of this year, do you feel that that is realistic target for it to hit that $5 zone this year? Or do you think this is even sooner than that? And by the end of this year, Cardano could be higher? What's your kind of feeling on that based on this?
Well, like I said, I mean, the market's quite irrational. So if you just kind of take that, right, that's the end of the year. So that's kind of like what we're talking about. By the end of the year, you know, is it going to be potentially up there?
Fair.
Well, you know, if you kind of take this kind of approach and it just does like a smooth thing, you know, that's not even taking you, you know, even to this target. The most likely scenario, because this is just how things move, is we might get something more similar to this kind of parabolic move, and we can kind of use that as a guide as to how the market might move from this zone. So I'll show you how that works. So you could take, if you have a look here, we went from there to there. It's probably not a dissimilar speed, right? Yeah, so it's pretty much similar, right, in terms of speed. Can you see that? The speed when it went parabolic. So what did it do? It built up energy, 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 and then bang. Energy, 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 bang. And this is doing the same thing here. Look, lots of energy being built, and then we could get the same kind of move. So if that was the case, you know, and you take this kind of area as a potential buy zone, something like that, I mean, that's one thing that could happen, but it could go a lot further. It could go a lot further. And if it does kind of do this, I mean, we don't know where it's going to stop, but if you're talking by the end of the year, and you just open that out at that speed, you know, the end of the year could be as high as there, right? Like if that was parabolic for that length of time. Up to now, we haven't had that. If this kind of repeats, it takes you up to about 350 from here, which is still if you think Bitcoin could double from here, or slightly less than double. If you're looking at Cardano at say 170, give or take, you know, that's also a double from there. So look, I mean, nobody can accurately predict because there's always crazy moves. You can do all this kind of work. I mean, one thing we can do, another little thing, is you can measure how long it took, how long it took before we actually went up. And so you have that, and then is it similar here? So this is from there to there. Look, it's very similar, isn't it? You see that? Mm-hmm. So if you kind of look at how long it retraced before going again, why don't we test that out? Because that's pretty much the same. We could actually have a look. So look, it stopped going up there, right? That would be looking at somewhere there, right? Which is about 26th of October, which can be, that could work out absolutely perfectly. Like, so maybe until, you know, the next couple of weeks, we retrace and come back here, and then bang, 26th of October.
Mark your calendars, guys. And that is why, this is why Yanis is making the comments that he is. My alarms went crazy last night on Cardano. It hit my buy zone. I am long. I can't wait to hear Andy's breakdown. So obviously that helped. And yeah, so that is the prediction. So we're saying on this show, Andy's guaranteeing that this will all happen by the 26th of October. And that is that it's going to come down to his buy zone that he's identified between 150 and 180. If you can get that, that's going to be a bit of a gift, right? Buy in at 150 to 180. By the end of the year, we could look at something along the $3.50 to $5 range.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what we do as technical analysts, we're using the past to identify the future and kind of piecing all these things together, which a lot of people can't do because they just don't have that knowledge. But like, once you piece all this information together, I mean, look, this is really, really powerful. I mean, I've only just discovered this bit here on this call. So I'm glad that we chose to do this, because that's literally, I mean, this is exactly the same distance before the break up, same distance before the break up, and it's not far from there. And, you know, it really wouldn't surprise me to see the same thing happen. And then we'll see what happens. I mean, if you buy at those prices, if it goes to 350, you've doubled your money. If it goes to 5, 6, you've tripled your money, whatever, like quadrupled your money. I think you should be happy with that. But this
exactly
is
that.
You know, this is
and
crypto,
we do take donations for this free service.
We accept
just, you know,
all forms of crypto, apart from Shiba Inu.
I'll take it, even with the high market cap. Just a straightforward 35% tithe, that's fine. We're happy with that. But look, I think that's covered the Cardano side of things. We've had a message in from Andy. Why is BT rising while alts are dropping? So I think that's our bat symbol in the sky to jump across to Bitcoin. And we're going to do our live chart analysis and bring you our Bitcoin price prediction from the next 7 hours to the next 7 days. So again, time to get your charting pen out, Mr. Demi, as we get ready to do another price prediction.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do this so that we can just focus, and I want people to just be able to follow something simple, because if they look at lots of lines, it might confuse people. But you know, we kind of addressed this question. I mean, it's a question that I've got a lot. You know, nobody's got really an answer. Everybody speculates as to why something might happen. And what I can see is that there's a lot more institutional buying happening, according to the sort of on-chain stuff that I look at. And often it's the case, Bitcoin, that, you know, the Bitcoin dominance dropped and now it's back up again. You know, people are moving money from alts into Bitcoin, and then it will shift, or new money will come in as alts get cheaper. So it's just part and parcel of what happens. So I wouldn't think too much of it, and it's not going to last that way. It's just a temporary thing that's happening right now. So let's look at Bitcoin, guys. You know, I'm going to assume that you haven't heard me analyze it before, because I think it will help people looking at this for the first time. So the thing that we want to speak about is there's some key milestones that I needed Bitcoin to break. And I spoke about this when we were down here, when we were doing these shows. We were saying 52,000 is going to be really, really important. Can we break it? Can we break it? And we got there, and then the inevitable pullback happened. But now we have. And if I just kind of, let me just have a little look at the, why is my screen not showing? I don't know why, but for some reason I can't see the colors as well. Is it the same with you? Or is it my lighting here?
Possibly. The volume bars aren't very bright.
Yeah, no, they're not very clear for some reason. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just...
Maybe if you zoom in, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Okay. So this is that area here. So if we take, let's mark down very quickly. Let's mark down that sort of 50K ish zone, 52K, which was about there. So this is important, because we spoke 50K was always going to be a key level, and what I wanted to see is, like, if we're going to break this, let's break it on an increase in volume. You know, I want to see strength, and look what it's done. Like, you got to bear in mind that, you know, when we were speaking before, we were saying, hold on, you know, the bearish volume is stronger around here. There's no buyers coming in. Look at that. Look at this, right? If we're looking at it from this point of view, bearish volume, market's going up a little bit, volume dies, and then bang, market goes down, volume increases again, right? So, and then look at the last time when we had a big run on Bitcoin, see how the market the volume increased over here, and then we did have a nice little push up. So look, we had lots of bearish volume, and then here suddenly the volume starts to increase, which is a good sign, but still not as much as the bearish volume. But again, now even more so. That's the first time we've seen, like, if you just have a look back here, right, this is the volume bar that we've just hit. We haven't had a green volume bar. So if you think about where we are right now, we are essentially here, right, at this stage. The last time we had a green day with high volume like that was here, right, where the price was basically 38,000, and the market went from 38,000 all the way to 52 until we hit this volume again. So this is the first time we've actually seen some volume come into the market, which is a good sign. And why is it a good sign? It's a great sign because it's happened to break a very, very significant level of resistance. So that's why it's also significant. It hasn't happened somewhere randomly. It's actually breaking 50,000, and that's what you need. You need a tank to get through key levels, and that's what's happened. We've got good volume. We've broken through. And what I quite like about this price action is, if you have a look, you know, there's two things that if the market's going up, there's two ways it goes up. So it would go like this, right? So this is called a retracement. But when something's really bullish, what will happen is the market will go up, and it's gone up really fast, but it will just have a rest, what we call consolidation. And if you have a look, we went very quickly from 40 to 41,000, pretty quickly up to 55, 56,000. And then look what's happened. It's had 1, 2, 3, 4 sideways days. And even the weekend, which is really always bearish, right? There's no institutional trade. There's very few of them. And the retail traders or institutions tend to sell on Friday, right? Or over the weekend, they dump their positions. And that hasn't really happened, right? What's happened is the market has basically consolidated, and now it looks like it's going to go higher. So I'm not saying after this, we could have this conversation and then Bitcoin could drop, right, to 50,000, for example, because it's a very volatile asset. But what I'm saying is that the signs right now are that Bitcoin doesn't look like it's going to fake us out anymore. Doesn't look like we're going to go back below 50K at this stage. Doesn't look like it. It could go test 50K. It could do that. It could also go low, of course, but I'm not expecting it. I'm expecting right now that, I don't know in what fashion and whether it's going to retrace that. You have to go kind of on the lower time frames and assess all of that. But it feels like we've got through the worst, and it just feels like the next move is go attack those all-time highs, break them, and then we'll start heading towards 70, 80K, 90K, that kind of level as the next run. So that's that. So it's just kind of, I'm just kind of showing you a slightly different approach to just finding some information that's really showing you that actually there's some really bullish signs here. Let's have a little look at the any questions, by the way, Gav. Let me know. I'm just going to have a look at the fibs here as well to get some projections. And does that make sense to everybody? I think it's also an important one.
Let us know, guys. But yeah, everybody's happy so far. So let's continue.
So, okay. Now, here's the current fib cycle we have. So we have the A, B, fast move. Then we have a deep pullback towards here, which is basically the yellow. Yeah, around the 786 there. So let me just zoom in. And by the way, just a little tip for people, because I know somebody's probably thinking it and not asking it. So I'm going to think of the questions as well. Someone might be thinking, but hold on a minute, Andy, look at this big red volume bar there. What about that one? Isn't that bearish? Well, what you have to look at is look at the bar. That bar is a holding bar. It's a nothing bar. It's basically a consolidation bar. So, and like this one and like this one, what you want to look at is when you have a big whole bar, which is either red, or big whole bar, which is either green, that is above average size, something like this, or 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 this. That's what you want to see as the volume. That's the volume, because otherwise there's been a battle that's gone on here. So we don't know if they're sellers or buyers. You need to go to the lower time frame to kind of really assess that. But in general, like if you've had a really strong bar on higher volume, that's a really good sign. So where are we in terms of the fibs? Well, truth be said, the market is at a point where it's due a retracement, funnily enough. So we spoke about that possible retracement. It is, you know, it kind of got to our yellowish zone, just a little bit higher, and it paused, but it didn't even create a high point. Like it, not the way we define. Is that a high point? I don't think it is. Or maybe it is no, there's a spike high, you just can't see it. Let's zoom in a bit. Yeah, so that's not a high point. So we haven't created a high point yet. But like I said, Bitcoin can be parabolic, but it's quite tricky to invest in it right now, in my opinion. It is due a pullback. Now, it could go a little bit higher. For example, the 1618 is quite close. And if you just draw a horizontal line at this 1618, what you'll see as well is that it's quite a nice reactive zone around that kind of 58,000, 58,500. What I'm basically saying is that although I think Bitcoin is going to go higher, if you're not in it at all, do I think it's a good idea to jump in now? No, I don't. I don't think it's a good idea because I think you might be able to get a better price. Now, of course, we may not because this is crypto and we don't know how it's going to move. But by the law of probability, it is due a pullback and we might be able to get it at a better price. So let's say this market does actually is going to pause somewhere here. We can kind of figure out with a few more tools. Let's connect some potential channel resistance here. See if there's anything here. I would actually say that I don't like that one. I think from there is possibly because I'm going to give you a scenario that's a little bit higher. And then this one is a different scenario where it could be potentially, because we connect, the ideal thing is to connect 3 points, which both of these lines do. So one scenario is we stop somewhere here. The second scenario is that we get close to these all-time highs and we spike and we have another green bar up to here, and then we and then potentially and this is where it gets tricky, because if this market is not yet parabolic, you'd probably expect a pullback here somewhere, and in which case you can draw your fibs from say here to here, mark down where the minimum 38.2% is, which is there, and there's your 50, so your 38 is about 52-ish, and then look to buy it there for the move up. Okay, so that would be a normal move. If this market doesn't pause here, and even though it's a strong level, everybody can see that, and it just pushes through here, and then it pauses, I will probably expect something like that, and then another breakup. That's probably what will happen. Because that's showing real strength. Because it's not stopping at the obvious stop points. It's showing a lot of strength. And then so I'd expect it to consolidate and then break higher. So ideally, you want to be in position now. If you're not, I'd focus on trading it more and then just adding in some orders a little bit lower in case the market pulls back.
Cool. So just to summarize then for that, because there was quite a bit of detail in there. So what are you saying the likelihood is for the next 7 days? And Nick's also saying just because the bar is red doesn't mean the sellers and buyers weren't close in volume. It just means sellers had a bit more, i.e. 49, 51%.
Yeah. I always like, it's just a quick high level piece of information, but the best piece of information is to always go onto the lower time frames.
Cool.
Lower time frames, because you can really assess the real bullish candles and what kind of volume they had. Because you could have a really bullish candle with one person. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but like if there's a period of low liquidity, so there's only 3 or 4 people trading, and somebody's bidding at here, and there's like you could basically have a big bullish bar with 3 or 4 people, and it means nothing. So volume is important. I don't know if people understand that. So it's like the whole market creates that volume bar.
And I feel like we could risk opening up a whole nother can and a whole nother tangent. So let's just stick with the summary for the next 7 hours to 7 days. Let's just clarify what was being shown there for people that couldn't quite keep up.
Yeah, I'm expecting the all-time highs to break very soon, and I think potentially in the next couple of weeks, and I don't necessarily think we are going to head straight to 100k. Everybody's speaking about 100k. But we could get a scenario where we get something like this, right? Where we get the next leg up. So we could get something like that. And then we are up here, 618 or 200. So that becomes like your next big target. So I think either we go like this and then pop, or we retrace and we pop, but I think we are going higher.
Okay. So in the next week, you're not seeing. So just to clarify, in the next week, you're not seeing it go lower than 50,000. Obviously, there could be some kind of cluster bomb that goes off that no one can see. But based on this, we're looking at maybe a bounce off the 50, and then it starts its climb up to hey ho silver lining.
Yeah, that's what I think, Gavin. Yeah, I mean, you've got like that, these kind of hidden channels as well that you should definitely kind of keep an eye on as well, because they can come into play at some point. So yeah, just something like that is probably a very, very plausible scenario. Cool. So next move, let's call it 75k.
Deal.
Would be so between 75 and 80k.
Cool. So hopefully that makes sense now to everyone for this week's Crypto Like a Pro Bitcoin price prediction. Hopefully that's answered your questions, given you guys a bit more clarity from the next 7 hours to the next 7 days. Again, we'll do it all this time, same time, same place. This show, Crypto Like a Pro, with me, Gavin, the host, and Mr. Andy Demi. If you're not a member already and you're watching on YouTube, check us out on Facebook. It is a private club, but we will, as long as you answer a couple of questions, we'll let you in. Crypto and FX Traders Club is the place to find us on Facebook. Is there anything else you want to say before we bounce, mate?
No, if we've answered all the questions, I'm good. I've covered Bitcoin and HODL'ing in quite a lot of depth there. Obviously, as I always say, these are just very plausible scenarios, but nothing is for sure. So we have to always do risk management. I do risk management. Otherwise, things can change very, very quickly. But right now, what we're looking for is high probability with the current information that we have, and that's what it looks like to me.
Perfect.
So,
cool.
that's it.
All right, guys. Well, look, that being said, we are going to bounce. Have a great day wherever you are, or maybe it's close to your evening time if you're over this side of the world. So happy dreaming, sweet dreams of Bitcoin breaking its all-time high within the next couple of weeks as predicted here, and we'll see what the future holds. If you've got any more comments or questions, pop them in the comment section. If you're new to cryptos and you want to see what all the fuss is about, we've recorded a free masterclass webinar. You'll get a ton of value. Andy reveals everything that he uses in his toolbox, so all these indicators, everything that's on the chart. I'll post the link in there. If you're already a student of ours, then you don't need to watch that. You're not missing out on anything. It's what you're getting inside the program. But if you're new and you want to learn a bit more and see whether it's for you, that would be a really good place for you to check out free of charge, and you will come away with a ton of knowledge bombs. So apart from that, that's everything from us. We are going to see you on the other side, guys. Take care.
Take care, guys.